Hey there, web designers. This is Jeremy from your CS 125 class, and I'm here to give you a little tutorial on how to create a one-column design, a very simple um, floating type design, and this is what we're going to do right here. I'm calling it just one-column design here. We're going to put in a floating nav bar, just a real simple one with a hover effect. We're going to put in a logo that will link to back to the home page, and then we'll put in some filler content and then scroll all the way down, and we'll also put in a footer. You'll notice that in this design there are 3 horizontal bars instead of where in some designs you'll see a wrapper around here and some kind of background or one solid color background. Instead, we have bars that will expand and get larger as you go, although our design here stays in the center of this page and is a fixed width column, but it will expand to fit a screen. So I have already created a folder for my design, and I've named it onecolumndesign.com. And inside my folder, I have 3 folders already made. I have a underscore CSS folder, and then I have a documents folder for any kind of loose documents that I might need to put in there. And then I have an images folder, and inside the images folder, I have 2 images. One is the logo in the header, and then one is the large image that goes into the content area. So in this design, I only have 2 images in which I'm going to insert. You can insert whatever images that you would like for your design, and you'll have to make those images the right size or resize the containers that we put them in. But we'll go over that as we build this one-page design. The goal for this is just to get the home page, the index page, all laid out with some content. Excuse me. And based on the index page, what we will do is we will create the subsequent pages for the rest of the site, and then link those, and then modify the content to fit each one of those pages. Those tutorials will be coming down the road, but for now we're going to get just the index done and get you started from with your basic layout for the web project. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that and open up Dreamweaver here, and I need to create a new site, and I'm going to select this real quick to show this is what you might see in your files panel. You might see your drives because you haven't defined the site yet, and if you have defined a site, you might be on your previous site. But the first thing I need to do is to define my site for this project. So I'm going to go Site, New Site, and I'm going to name the site the same as what the site's going to be called. So it's going to be www.onecolumndesign.com. And then I need to browse for the root folder. So I'm going to click on this folder here, and I've saved it onto my desktop. So I'm going to select my desktop there, and then onecolumndesign.com, and hit choose, and then save. So now I should see my files on the left-hand side for this project. And the first thing I need to do is to create a new HTML file. So I'm going to go up to File, New, and select HTML and hit create. First I'm going to go ahead and hit save as, and I'm going to save this as index.html, and we're just going to save it in this one column design folder. Hit save there. And then next I'm going to go File, New again, and this time I'm going to create the CSS external style sheet for this site. So I'm going to select CSS and hit create, and then I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm going to save that in my CSS folder as main styles, and hit save. Okay, and before I start putting in my styling for my style sheet, I'm going to close that tab, and then on my index tab for my source code here for my index.html page, the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put in a title so I don't forget this, and I'm just going to go ahead and name it the same name as my company or site for this, so it's www.onecolumn design.com, and then place my cursor right after the closing title tag and hit the enter return key, and this is where I'm going to link my style sheet. So I'm going to type in a left caret and then type in link href, and then when my code hint comes up, I'm just going to hit the enter return key in href and then browse for the file by hitting the enter return key and then selecting mainstyles.css. I click open, and then I still need a couple more things in here, so I'm going to type in space rel, and when my code hint comes up, I'm just going to hit the enter return key, and then this is going to be style sheet, so rel equals style sheet in quotation marks. And then one more, type typ, when you see it in your code hint, select, and then you can hit the enter return key one more time to select text CSS, and then / right caret to end that line. So your style sheet pops open up in a bubble up here. We need to hit File, Save, and then maybe toggle this back and forth a couple times. There we go. Clicked on the live button there, and then my what changed here is I have a bubble for source code, which is my HTML, my content, where all my content's going to go, and then I have my external style sheet linked up in this bubble, so I can switch back and forth between the two. So let's go ahead and start styling some basic page properties and then some structural elements, and then kind of go through and start filling in the HTML and some of the content to go in there. Let's start off the first thing, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type in a / and a asterisk symbol, a couple of dashes, and then I'm just going to put in designed by and write my name in there. Why not? Take credit for it. Okay, and then I'm going to drop down a couple more lines, and I could do this a little bit quicker. Over here on my left hand side, I have an apply comment button, and if I select the second one down, which is the CSS apply comment, it'll put those asterisk symbols in for me, but I like to use a couple of dashes in here just to get some separation there. So this one's going to be our basic page properties section, and hit the enter return key here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out all of the default margin and padding values by using the asterisk symbol and opening up a curly brace and then typing in margin 0 and then padding 0 and then hit the enter return key. So this asterisk symbol will clear out these default padding and margin values in not only in Dreamweaver but in the browser. Next I'm going to type in body for the main body tag and set my default font, kind of a couple basic font properties that I always do. So hit the enter return key here, and we're going with font family, and I'm going to select Lucida Grand. I like a sans serif font, and then end that with a semicolon, and then hit my enter return key, and I'm going to go ahead and set up my font size to be 85% and set that as my base value. And I believe for now this is all I'm going to do with the body, so I'm going to hit my enter return key and then open up a curly brace. Okay, so there are some sections that I know of in my design, so I'm going to go ahead and put some comments in so that way I can set up those sections right now. So the first one is going to be the header styles section, and then the next one is going to be the navigation section, navigation styles. Okay, so and I know these go in this order because I've done this a bunch of times. And I'm looking back. If I need a reference here, I'm going to open up my deal here. I'm just going to go through the sections. So this is our header section right in here, and this will be a place for a logo, and then this is our navigation section. So we're going to create a section for just navigation in our style sheet, and then the bottom section here is our content, and the very bottom is a footer. So we have just about 4 main sections or 4 main areas that we have to design. One thing that I haven't mentioned about this design that we're going to work on today is the fact that when the content, when you need to scroll, the footer, or not the footer, the header stays in place, and it looks as if the content disappears. So we're gonna show you how to do that in this design. But those are the sections that we're gonna need to first kind of lay out. So I'm gonna go ahead and toggle over to Dreamweaver again and type in my next piece. And so this is going to be content styles. And then last but not least, I have my footer styles. Okay, so let's start with the header styles. I'm going to place my cursor right after that / there. And what we're going to do is we're going to end up nesting a couple of divs within each other, so that way we can have the top bar of the header look as if it's going to be the width of the page no matter what, like it's infinite. But then also our design itself is centered within the page as a fixed width. So we're essentially going to be we're going to be using 2 divs and wrapping all of our content in both of those divs. So we're going to differentiate each one of those IDs as wrapper and as container. So the wrapper ID will be the 100% width of the page, and will create the effect that our background goes infinity width. And then the container is going to be what we give our fixed width, size, and centering within the page. So you're going to see how this works here in just a minute. So the first one we're gonna do is we're gonna do an ID, and this is going to be header wrapper, and then open up a curly brace, and the width for this is going to be 100%. So it's the width of whatever window it's open in, and then the height, don't capitalize that, height is going to be 200 pixels, and then we're going to go ahead and give this a background color. So select background, and then the pound symbol, and I'm going to use a very dark gray. I think it's going to be, where is it? Nope, 51. There we go. And then enter return key, and then close that off with a curly brace. And so like I said, we're going to put another div ID right inside of that, so that is what's going to be the fixed width and centers within our page. And it's not going to have a background color, but it's going to contain the nameplate or the logo and our navigation menu. So I'm going to hit the enter return key 2 more times, and then type in the pound symbol, and then name this one header container, and then open this up with a curly brace. So the width for this is only going to be 940 pixels, and the height is going to be the same height as the top header wrapper there, so they're going to fit within each other. And then we're going to center this within the page by typing in margin 0 auto. So the first value is 0, and we'll set it to the very top, and then auto is what's going to center our container there. So then I'm going to hit the enter return key, and we will need to do a couple things here to make our header fixed. Okay, so then the next piece that's going to go inside of our header container is the section for the logo, what I call the nameplate. And we want to do this so it'll be easier for us to float our navigation menu in the right side of the header container. So what we're going to do is we're going to split the header container by creating two new divs. And the first one's going to be called nameplate. So pound symbol and then nameplate, and then open up a curly brace, and we're going to float this to the left, and we're going to give it a width of 500 pixels, give you a little bit of room for a logo, and then the height is going to be the same height as our header container itself. And I believe that's all we need to do for that little guy, so I'm going to hit the enter return key and then close that out with a curly brace. Before I move on to my navigation styles, I want to address the fixed header portion of our design, and to do that we have to apply a couple of more properties and values to our header wrapper up here on the top. So I'm going to place my cursor after the open curly brace and hit the enter return key so that I can put these styles at the very top. We're going to do a position that is fixed. So type in position and then select fixed. And then hit the enter return key, and we need to tell it we want it to be top 0. Okay, so it's going to be fixed to the top at 0. And then last but not least, we want to go ahead and give this a Z index so that whatever does scroll will go underneath it. So I'm going to hit the enter return key after background and then type in Z index of 1. So this one will always be on top. Okay, so now I need to add some of these items into my code, into my HTML before I move on. I don't want to enter too much and get ahead of myself. So I'm going to switch over to the source code here and locate the body tag, place the cursor right after that, the opening tag of it, and hit the enter return key 3 times. And that just gives you some room to work here. So on line 10, I'm going to start off with the header wrapper. So I'm going to type in the left caret div ID, and then that's going to equal header wrapper. Okay, so this is the big one, the one that's 100% width. So then right caret, and then use your arrow key to go down to line 12 there where you had your extra spaces, and then do a left caret / to close that out. And then place your cursor on line 11 right in between that header wrapper, tab in so you know that you're nesting your div here, left caret div ID header container. This is the one that's the fixed width and is going to center within our page. So then we're going to also add one more div to this, which is our nameplate that goes inside of the header container. So I want to hit the enter return key 2 times, so I have a couple spaces, and then left caret / to close that div. So here's what's going on right now. Just review. I'm nesting one div inside of another right here, and then I'm going to nest another div to split it in half. So I'm nesting 3 divs in a row, and then I'll nest actually another one, which will be the navigation bar. So I'm going to be nesting at least 4 divs within. Closing that off there on line 12, I'm going to place my cursor there and hit the tab button because I want to nest inside of this, and this is where we're going to put our nameplate. So I'm going to type in left caret div ID, and then this equals nameplate. And then I'm just going to left caret / that and worry about filling that content in here in just a little bit. Okay. Because next I want to get our navigation menu in, and then we'll start filling in the content for the header. So I'm going to go back to our main styles over here and locate the navigation styles section and place my cursor after it, and then hit the enter return key. So here I'm going to start with the pound symbol, and this is going to be nav wrapper. Actually, we're going to do nav container, kind of go with the same theme here. Nav container, open up with a curly brace, and we are going to float this left we're just going to float it right after the other one. So the nameplate, we've given it a 500 width, so 940 minus 500 is 440 pixels wide is what we have to work with. So type in width, oops, not widows, easy to do, 440 pixels. The reason why we have to do this number is because if they don't fit within that 940 container that we've built for it, it won't float next to each other. We'll just push one below. For the height on this, it's a navigation menu, so we don't need it to be as high. So we're going to go height 40 pixels here. And that's all we need to do for that. So I'm going to hit the enter return key. And then we're going to build our navigation system using an unordered list. So we're going to do this by typing in nav bar, comma, and then nav bar ul. And then open up a curly brace. We're just going to directly give the ul an ID here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do list style none. And then next, we're going to go after the list items in the nav bar. So we're going to do nav bar li for list items. Open up a curly brace here. And then we want to do float left. And this will allow our navigation menu items to float next to each other in a horizontal navigation menu. So then hit the enter return key here. And most of our styles is going to occur in this next element, which is the A element. Since these are all links, we want most of our styling to occur with the A element. So this is going to be pound symbol, nav bar, li, A, and then open up a curly brace. And here we're going to do quite a bit. We're going to add some padding to our things so that they're nice and spaced out. So we're going to type in padding, and I want to do 10 pixels on top, 20 pixels on left and right, and I'm just going to play around with that value for now and see what happens there. Next, oops, I forgot one thing. I need to set this up to set this display as block. So I like to put that up above on the very first line here. So I'm going to take my cursor and move it up and hit the enter return key and type in display block. And then move my cursor down after the padding and then enter return key. And I want to do a white link. So color is FFF. And then I don't want any underline because by default links are underlined. So we're going to say text decoration none. Let's see here. Is that about what I want? Oh, no, I need a font size in there. So I'm going to place it there, type in font size, and I'm going to go with a 1.7 EM. I'm going to just play with that value and see where that's at. I might have to change that depending on the section that I'm trying to fit it in. Okay, and I'm going to hit the enter return key and close that out with a curly brace, and then I want a little bit of interactivity with this, so I'm going to apply the hover pseudo class to this A element, and all I'm going to do is change the color a little bit. In fact, I think what I might do is change this color to, let's do DDD for now, which is a light gray, and then what I want is with the nav bar LIA colon hover, open up a curly brace, is for the color to be white. So you'll see why I did this in a minute, because in my logo, if you go back to my logo here in my mock-up, the OCD part of here is white, and then the rest is kind of this gray, and then I think the gray is supposed to match a little bit. Maybe I should try to do a better job with that. I think that's 999, that gray color. So maybe what I'll do, let's see how this works. This might be too dark, but we'll give it a shot. And then that's all I want to happen there is the color to change. And so I'm just going to hit that and then open up a curly brace. So before I test this out, I got to make sure that I got the content there first. So let's switch over to our source code real quick. And right after where it says div ID nameplate, let's go ahead and hit the enter return key. And in this place, we're going to, in this section, we have the div ID of nav container. And then I'm going to hit the enter return key a couple times and then left caret / So you can see that the way we're splitting this up here is this is the nameplate, which is going to occupy the first left half of our header container, and then this section is going to occupy the right section of it. So that's why these are in the same level in this header container in our organization. Okay, so inside our div ID we're going to have a list, so we're going to use an unordered list, and we're going to type in UL and identify it with the UL ID with nav bar. So that's going to get rid of our list style, and then right caret and then enter return and then left caret / and then move your cursor up there into the in between and hit the tab key. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to type in our first link. So we're going to type in li and then left caret / so that way I have my navigation list item, and then I'm going to put my link in here, and all I'm going to do is put in a link placeholder for now. So I'm going to type in the left caret href, and then is going to equal # link, and I'm going to need to put that link in later. And then this first one is about, and then left caret /. So this is our first link. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to copy this line 2 more times and then just change the display text in the middle, so that way I save myself some time here. So I'm going to hit Command C or Control C for that line, and hit the enter return key, and then paste that in there, and then paste that in there one more time. And then in the second one, I'm just going to name this gallery, and then in the third is going to be contact. Okay, and then before I get even further, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put that image in my header. So I'm going to place my cursor in between div ID nameplate there and hit the enter return key twice. So that way I have a line to nest my image in here. So I'm going to tab in there on line 13 and left caret image src, and then I'm going to browse for it. And I have to go to my one column design here and look for my images folder, and then select one column design logo. So if you look at my file path here, it's just images / for the folder and then the file name. And then I'm going to type in the Alt key, which is for screen readers, and this is going to be www.onecolumndesign.com, and then / right caret. So I want to check my progress on my design, but before I do that, let's make sure that I go up to File and Save All, so that way I'm saving my work as I go, just in case anything might happen while I'm designing. And then I'm going to switch over to Live View here real quick, and just to see kind of a general what I got going on before I actually preview it in a browser. So there's my header there with my sliver of gray that's going to go across the page there. There's my logo that I put in, and then there's my navigation bar. You'll notice that it's at the top of our header there, and I think I'd rather see it more in the middle. I'm in Live View right now, so you can see the hover effect working in Live View, but I want to push this down so it's a little bit more center within our header. So I'm going to click on Code and go back to our styles here, and where I need to adjust that position of that nav bar is in the nav bar container. So where height is located, I'm going to place my cursor right there and hit the enter return key, and we're going to do this using margin. So I'm going to type in margin, and I'm going to go ahead and do this long form just in case I want to make some adjustments to other sides of this, or make some adjustments in other sides of the position of the nav bar. So I'm going to start off with 60 pixels, pushing it down from the top, and then 0 on the right, 0 on the bottom, and then we're going to go ahead and do 0 on the left for now, just to see where we end up. But say in the future I wanted to maybe position this just a little bit to the right, that's why I'm going to do this long form rather than just doing it margin top 60 pixels. It's just going to kind of do overkill here for the future. Then I want to click back over to live view real quick and then see how that looks. And I kind of want to position it a little bit more in the middle of this word, one column there. So I'm going to switch back to my code view, and then let's just try 70. And yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and file, save all, and then I want to see if this renders just as nicely in a browser. So I'm going to come down to my preview in browser, preview in Firefox, and there we go. Yeah, I like that position. It looks pretty good. Okay, so next I need to start putting in some of the rest of our page here. Click over, and this is where we're at. It's shaping up just a little bit differently. You'll notice that I changed this color just slightly and moved it over, and it's a little bit larger, in fact, which I think I'm liking the way it is right now. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it and minimize my page here, and then get into my code view one more time and scroll down and start entering my content styles. So I'm going to place my cursor after content styles here, and we're going to name this ID content container, and open up a curly brace. And the width for this, so what we're going to do for the content container part of it, we're just going to utilize the background color of the body, and currently the background color of the body is white. If you want to do a different color here and have the same kind of effect that we've been doing with the header and the footer, which means we have this bar that goes in infinite width in both directions, then you're going to have to do the same thing. You're going to have to what we've done here up above with the header wrapper and header container. So you're going to nest two within each other, and you're going to apply the background color to something that might be called, say, content wrapper, and do the same nesting procedure. But since I'm just going to utilize the white background, I don't need to nest it within another div tag. So for this one, I'm just going to do as content container, and it's going to be width of 940 pixels. And height is going to be auto, and I'm not going to put it auto. It will automatically expand for me. And then the margin for this, we want to center this within the page. So we're going to do margin, and margin auto left and right, but we do have to set a different margin value for the top. And the reason for this is because we've set I'm going to scroll up here, we've set our header wrapper here to a position of fixed. So this isn't going to change its position. It's going to stay where it is, and it has a height of 200 pixels. So what we need to do is we need to start our content container below the header wrapper. So it's going to start 200 pixels below, and so that way it doesn't get hidden accidentally. So I'm going to type in 200 pixels margin for the top, auto for the right, 0 for the bottom, and then auto for the left. Okay, it's important that you do this margin top, otherwise what you're going to see is the content area is going to go straight to the top where 0 is, and it's going to get covered. So you don't want to do that. So after margin, I want to go ahead and add some padding to the tops and left sides of our container here. So I'm going to hit the enter return key and type in padding. And I want to do 20 pixels padding on the top and bottom, and then 10 pixels padding on the left and right sides. And then one thing I forgot to put in here is a clear value, clear property for our content here, and we're just going to do this as a safety precaution, so to speak. So I'm going to place my cursor at the very top there after the curly brace, and hit the enter return key, and we're going to type in clear both. And then don't forget that closing curly brace, hit the enter return key, and then close that out. Okay. I will add in some content here later on, but I'm not sure exactly what it's going to look like yet. So I'm going to hold off on styling any additional elements for the content container. I will, however, go ahead and move on to the footer styles and just take care of this, take care of the footer styles here so I can stay in the same document. So I kind of know already what I'm going to do with that, and then I'll go in and add it into the HTML source code. So I'm going to place my cursor after footer styles there, and then hit the enter return key, and then type in the pound symbol, and this is going to be footer wrapper. We're doing the same procedure that we're doing for the header. So open up a curly brace, and the width for this is going to be 100%, and then we have to give it a height. So for the height, we're going to go like half the size of our header, so we're going to go 100 pixels there, and then we're going to do a background color. And I think I'm going to do a lighter gray and kind of go with that one gray color with the nav bar. So I'm going to go with the 999. Kind of do a little matching there. And then hit the enter return key and then close that off with a curly brace. And then I need to put in the container that's going to give it that centered look. So footer, container, open up a curly brace. Width is 940 pixels. Height is the same as the other, which is 100 pixels. The margin here is 0 and auto, because we're going to slam it up there, and then it's going to center itself the left and right. And from there, that's going to be everything that we're going to need to do. So I'm going to hit the enter return key and then close that out with a curly brace. Again, I'm going to have some content to go in this as well, but I think I want to go ahead and add the content first to see how it looks, and then style it to make some adjustments to how I want it to to turn out. So let's go ahead and save what we've done so far. So go File, Save, and then switch over to source code. And from here, we're going to add our content div and then our footer div, and then start putting in a little bit of content for those sections. So I'm going to find the closing div for the header wrapper and place my cursor right after it and hit the enter return key. So I'm on line 24, and then left caret div ID, and we're looking for content container. So I'm just going to hit the enter return key once it comes up. Right caret, and then enter return key a couple of times because I know I'm going to put some content in there. So left caret / and then we're going to go ahead and put in the footer div as well. So I'm going to hit the enter return key, left caret, and then div ID footer wrapper first, which is the big one, and then the enter return key, the one that's 100%, and then left caret / couple of spaces there, and then on line 28, tab in, so you're nesting this in here. Left caret div ID footer container, right caret, enter return key, left caret / and I know for content wise I'm only going to put in a couple things at this point. Maybe I'll add some stuff later, but at this point I'm just going to put in copyright and an email, like contact information. So I'm going to tab in, left caret paragraph, and type in the copyright symbol, which I'm going to do, and the ampersand symbol. So my symbol code hint comes up. Type in COP, and then select copy there. And then this one is called one column design, and then left caret / and then another P, paragraph tag there, and just close it out right away. And we're going to do an email link for here for contact. So I'm going to do left caret href, and then hit the enter return key, and I'm going to type in mail to : and then the email address. So this is going to be contact@onedesign.com. Oops, I forgot one column design, my bad. onecolumndesign.com, and then at the end of where that quotation mark is, right caret there, and then I always like to leave the entire email address as the display so people can just copy and paste it in their preferred email program. So this is going to be contact at onecolumndesign.com, and then left caret / to close that A element out. This is going to be blue if I look at my live view here, and we're not going to see much of a space here in our content area, but this is going to be blue and left and no padding and anything like that. So I definitely want to fix that. But first of all, let's go ahead and go back to our code here and let's go ahead and look at our mock-up also, so we kind of know where we're going. This is our finished product here, and we have some in the content area. We have an image, and then we have a heading, and then we also have some text, some lorem ipsum text. So let's go ahead and start putting in some of that content, and that way we can go back and forth and style it, finish it out with styling the content. So I'm going to switch back over to Dreamweaver real quick. And that image is going to be the first thing that goes into the content container. So I'm going to find where my content container is in the source code of HTML, and then place my cursor on line 25, and then tab in, and then left caret image src for source, browse for it, and I'm going to find that nice large image there. And oh, I forgot to do something, but I can easily fix that. So I'm going to hit open and then space, and then for the alt key I'm just going to type in one column design and then / right caret. Now with images, if you remember right, images don't just position in themselves where you want them to go. And so this image is 750 pixels wide, but my design is 940. So if I were to look at the live view, it's just going to be left aligned in my content, and I want it to be centered. So I'm going to do a quick, easy way of centering an image by just going back to my source code here and putting this image inside a div, just a generic div that is centered. So place my cursor on line 24 after the content ID content container, and then hit the enter return key, tab in, and then type in a left caret div, and then align center. So we're not giving it an ID, we're just giving it a generic a div tag here. And then to make sure that I've see all my nesting correctly, I'm gonna hit the enter return key right after that image source line there. So I have an extra line there, and then left caret /, and then because I'm nesting, I'm going to tab that line in just like that, so it looks like it's centered. So if I go back to my live view, you're going to see that this image centers itself within our design. So I'm going to click back over to code, and then following that are going to be a number of paragraphs and a heading. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my heading first. So I'm going to hit the enter return key, left caret H1, and then left caret /. I'm not sure exactly what this heading was or what this heading said, so one column offers the best design, so I'm just going to highlight that real quick and copy it. So Command C, and then tab over to Dreamweaver, and then copy and paste that right into my heading 1. And if you look at my text here in my design, I pulled this text from the lorem ipsum generator site. So if you click open a new tab here and type in lorem ipsum and search for that, you should come up with the lipsum.com generator site. So I just went down here and selected generate lorem ipsum, and then got my 5 paragraphs, and then I just copied these 5 paragraphs. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and do these ones, which is fine. They might be a little bit different than the ones from my other mock-up, but that's okay. So I'm going to select all 5 paragraphs there, Command C. This might be way too much text for a home page, but I'm just going to use it to fill it out so I can kind of have a general idea of how much content I can put in my homepage, and then maybe later on come back and make some modifications to that. So I'm going to toggle back over to Dreamweaver here, and that's going to be a lot of paragraphs I'm going to have to enter, and I'm going to have to wrap each one in a paragraph tag. So I'm going to do a little shortcut key doing that. So I'm going to hit the enter return key right after that H1, and then hit Command or Control V for copy paste, and there's all my text there. It looks like it gave me a couple extra spaces in my code, so I'm going to get rid of that. Get rid of those 2 lines there, and then I'm going to tab in each one of these lines of text so that they will line up with that H1 tag, even though they kind of text wrap, but I just like to see that alignment looks a little bit cleaner in your code. And then I'm just going to highlight each one of these paragraphs and do a Command T or a Control T, and then wrap that text with the paragraph tag. So I'm just going to do a quick wrap here of each one of these rather than typing in the opening and closing tags and stuff for each one of these. So we're just doing a shortcut here in our text. And keep going all the way down to the bottom. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S or Command S for save, and then I just want to see what I've got so far. What we're going to see is not a lot of spacing here. All of things are centered as well. So something happened. I think our text is inheriting the let's see what happened here. Oh, I think I know what happened. I snuck all of our text in to that div align center, and I'm not supposed to do that because that should just go around the image. So locate that extra closing div tag. On me it's on line 37, so it needs to go all the way up here. My mistake. And we need to move it right after, it goes right there in front of the H1. And let's go ahead and hit the enter return key there, so our H1 is on the separate line, and then bring this back using the outdent code button so it looks like it's nesting in our image there. And let's go back and fix that. Let's make sure. There we go. Perfect. So our text is no longer centered. So now that I've got my text in here and my image in here, I can go through and start styling some of those items. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this H1 here. First off, I want to add some padding to that H1 and maybe change a little bit of it. So I'm going to click on code and go back to my main styles and locate my content container. Place my cursor after line 73 there, and then type in the pound symbol, content container, and with the code hint there I could just select it so I don't accidentally misspell it because it is a longer ID. And then H1, open up a curly brace, and I'm going to just add some padding here to the top and bottom of the of it, so I don't want to do the left and right because there's already padding within that container right there, 10 pixels. So I want to do 10 pixels top and bottom, and then 0 left and right, and open and then close that out with a semicolon. And I think I'm going to go ahead and maybe just leave the rest as it is, and maybe make some adjustments later, but I just want to mess with some padding values for now. So I'm going to hit the enter return key and then right curly brace, and then hit the enter return key a couple more times, and then we're going to style so select content container again, and then paragraph this time, open up a curly brace, and we're going to apply some padding treatment to our paragraphs as well. So we're going to do the same padding, 10 pixels top, and then 0 left and right, so there's some spacing between each lines, each paragraphs. And then we're going to do some line height to make it a little bit more readable, so we're going to do that as 1.5 EM. And then this is also where I could, if I wanted to, set my text to be justified. I do like the way text looks when it's justified in a document or on a website. So, but here I may not want to do it everywhere, so I don't necessarily want to do it in this section. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it for now, and then maybe later on I'll make that decision. So I'm going to hit the enter return key and then right curly brace, And then last but not least, I have some content in our footer container, and I have some padding things and colors that I want to change on some of that text. So I'm going to hit the enter return key on the very bottom there after the footer container and type in the pound symbol footer, and then select footer container, and we're looking for footer container P because that's what we put our text in, and open up a curly brace, and we want to do some padding here as well. So we're going to do padding top and bottom, and then 0 left and right. And then depending on the color of that background, we chose kind of a medium gray, and this will be black. The text so far is black. Let's see how this looks. We might want to make adjustments to the color of this text. I know we're going to do that for the link element in that, but for now we'll just go ahead and leave the paragraph as black and just adjust the padding on it. And then the next one we're going to do is we want to target the footer container again, but this time we're targeting the A element within it, which is the email link that we created. And then open up a curly brace. And for this one, we want to change the color to, we're going to go ahead and change it to white. So FFF, color, pound symbol, FFF. And then text decoration for this is going to be none. We don't want an underline. And then enter return key, and then right curly brace. And then when somebody hovers over it, we do want it to do something. So we're going to do footer container again, because we're still in the same location, A element still, but this time we're going to add the pseudo class hover, so colon and then hover, and then open up a curly brace, and then text decoration we are going to say underline. So when somebody hovers over this text, it'll just underline it. So it'll look like a link once you hover over it. So go ahead and file, save all, everything, and then click on live view here, and let's give it a trial run. Let's scroll down a little bit, look at some of our spacing here of our text. It looks pretty good, nice and even there. I think our sizing on this text right here on our H1 is perfect. We'll just go ahead and leave it the way it is, and scroll down, and there's our contact information. I feel like maybe the distance between the top and bottom here is too much. So I think what I'd like to do here is jump back into my source code and look at my footer container P, and probably all I need to do here is just do some padding on the top. So let's go ahead and eliminate the 0 and add dash after padding top, so it says padding dash top 10 pixels only. So then let's see how this looks now. Yeah, that's better. A little better spacing there. Not as crazy. Although it is slammed here to the left of our design. So that's right, because we added 10 pixels padding in our area here, and we want to kind of keep that alignment going. So let's go back to code, change this back to just padding, and then for the left and right, you know what, we'll just do, yes, we want to do 10 pixels right, 0 bottom, 10 pixels left. So it's going to be 10, 10, 0, 10. So we're doing 0 on the bottom, but 10 everywhere else. So let's go back and look at our live view here and see if that looks, yeah, now it's better lined up there. Perfect. Okay. We did forget to do one thing on in our page, and that is to make our logo a link so that when you click on the logo, it goes back to the home page. So let's jump back into our source code over here. So we're in source code. If you're not in source code, double check that and click on source code there. And then where we're going to do this is right around the image. So all we're going to do is we're going to apply the A element and wrap that around this image here. So I'm going to type in a left caret A href, and at this point we're just going to go ahead and do this as index.html, because that's the name of our homepage. And we won't do this as an absolute link. Sometimes some people will make this an absolute link versus a relative link back to the homepage. And then I'm going to place my cursor after the image there, and then left caret /. That way, this the logo becomes a hotspot or a link back to our homepage, which is a cool feature. So our navigation looks good. So let's go ahead and preview this in a browser. Let's open that up and preview Safari and take a cruise. So now when you scroll down, all the content scrolls up into the header there, and there's our footer down there at the bottom. It's a very simple, clean layout. Alright, so we're going to end the tutorial here for part 1. We've got our main page done, our basic layout, and our navigation systems all laid out. So now it's essentially, in our next tutorial, we'll add these pages about gallery and contact in a very simple way without having to redesign each one of those pages is from the ground up. And then we'll look at inserting different types of content for those pages and to make our to finish out our content on our website. So I hope you didn't have any issues, and we'll see you next time.